Hi guys, welcome back to Sacred Vedic Astrology. My name is Samantha and I feel so blessed to be a professional Vedic sidereal astrologer. So today we're going to do a little analysis into a current transit that we have in the Vedic sidereal system of astrology, which is Jupiter retrograde in the sign of Gemini until March 11th. And I feel like I haven't seen too many videos of Vedic astrologers talking about this. Maybe it just hasn't been on my feed or something, but I want to talk about how this transit is affecting us collectively and what we might be feeling or experiencing through this transit. And then I'm also going to go through every sign to give you guys some insights into what you might be feeling in your personal chart based on ascendant and moon sign as well too. So I always like to look at the ascendant first and then check the moon, and the moon sign energy is going to be more emotional. Like it might more so be how you feel the transit internally, while the ascendant is more so how it's actually playing out in physical reality. Okay. So I typed up a Google Doc for us today. So if I'm looking down at my screen, that is what I am looking at. Okay, so Jupiter is currently retrograde in the sign of Gemini. So why are we feeling more introspective and reflective? That's why, right? So Jupiter, or Guru, is the planet of spirituality and luck and philosophy and our ideologies and teachings and teachers and mentors. And that's currently retrograde in Gemini, which is a sign that is ruled by Mercury. So what's really fascinating about that is I've actually noticed some experiences during this transit where I've had to check, like, is Mercury retrograde? And I didn't make this connection until today when I was like really sitting down and trying to, analyze the current transits. And I was like, oh, well, it's really fascinating because Jupiter is retrograde in the mercurial sign of Gemini. And I've kept thinking like it feels like a Mercury retrograde. It feels like a Mercury retrograde. And I clocked that. I was like, oh my God, well, that makes so much sense, right? Because Jupiter is retrograde in the sign of Gemini ruled by Mercury. So it can almost have this like Mercury retrograde sort of effect right now, where we can be having some technology issues, some communication mishaps, themes like that, right? Because it is in that sign ruled by Mercury. So until March 11th of 2026, we are basically reviewing and revising these Jupiterian themes. And it's going to take on a more introspective or reflective quality about it. So we can be reviewing and revising our belief systems, our philosophies, what we choose to believe in, and perhaps like what guidance we listen to or take on right now. There can be a big theme where we're really reevaluating, who do I go to for advice? Where should my guidance come from? Do I trust this guidance or do I trust my own internal compass? Like, the Jupiter retrograde energy can actually be an energy where our own intuition and our own guidance is really powerful right now, as opposed to turning into these like external sources. We might be like just able to really go within and find the answers within ourselves right now because of that Jupiter retrograde energy. And I found in my personal life, it's funny because I always like go to people this is like how I am by nature, but I'll go to people for advice, like friends, whoever, and ask them about a situation. And I always still follow my own gut, my own intuition, still like I'm very intuitive led. And during this transit, I feel even more that way, where recently I was asking my friend about something and she's like a great person, a great friend, and she's giving me some advice. And I just remember after being like, I love that advice, but I think I'm going to do what I want to do. So it was this like funny moment where I was like, oh, that's so Jupiter retrograde, where we're kind of going into our own internal compass and what feels right and reviewing our own belief systems. And we can feel like we're our own sort of moral compass right now, and that a lot of insights are coming to us in a very potent way, right? Because when a planet goes retrograde, it's not weaker, it's actually stronger because it's closer to the Earth, right? So it means that Jupiter is actually really strong right now. It's fallen in Gemini, so it can cause this like scattered energy and this very like mental energy as opposed to just full faith and full trust, right? So there also can be a collective theme where people are struggling a little bit to just like fully trust something. There can be an energy where people want to really intellectualize it, but that's like the internal battle, right? Because Jupiter's retrograde and it's fallen, so it's like people might be struggling to just trust what's going to happen, trust what's going to come, because it's in that mercurial energy that's so like heady and intellectual, right? So we can see a lot of those themes unraveling as well too. Okay, so we might be feeling more reflective on the past, reevaluating our own belief systems, our values, our teachers, teachings, education, travel. We can be pondering, do I want to learn this? Do I trust this teacher? Do I trust this teaching? Do I want to educate myself in this direction? It can be a little bit scattered in the energy of teachers and teachings, and we can feel like we actually want to trust our own sort of teachings at this time as well too. There's more caution around teachers, gurus, guides, teachers, themes like that. So if you're in school right now, you might be feeling like a little bit scattered in education at this time as well too. Okay. This is a great energy and great time to go within. So like meditation is really favored at this time, as well as our own like spiritual teachings. So anything that's more like, I'm going to unravel this myself, I'm going to meditate on this, I'm going to sit with this, that would be a really great energy right now, as opposed to trying to reach for all these like external sources of validation. It's a really internal, introspective sort of energy. So Jupiter being in Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury, it also does rule technology, communication, intellect, skills, trade, business. So we might feel like that retrograde energy around these areas of life, almost feeling a bit like a Mercury retrograde, where maybe we're trying to reevaluate how we want to communicate, how we want to express ourselves. Business can feel a little bit slower with Jupiter retrograde. In Gemini, like we can feel like we're trying to really unravel and figure out the ways in which we want to do business, trade, skills, themes of that nature as well too. Okay. So this is an energy where you don't want to communicate thoughtlessly. It's a good time to be intentional with communication and less impulsive or scattered, because that Jupiter retrograde is ruled by Mercury, which is the karaka for communication. You don't want to just like spew something out right now very like recklessly. It's good to really sit with what you want to say and be more intentional in your speech and your expression, especially if it connects to like social media or technology. There can be a need to just sit with something before fully expressing that as well too. Okay, so some potential experiences that we can have collectively of Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, which has been happening, by the way, for a bit. I just felt like I really wanted to come on and talk about it at this time, because it's still going on until March. And so I think a lot of people are feeling this like Jupiter retrograde energy. Some themes are really second-guessing decisions, right? Because Jupiter is in that mercurial sign, so the mind can be very scattered, where people are like, wait, am I meant to do this? Am I meant to do this? Did I make the right choice? Was this the right decision? People can be a little bit scattered in their decision making skills, or like their analytical ability, right? Because it is that retrograde energy. So it's good to just like really sit with something before you make a drastic decision right now. Revisiting old conversations or connections because of the retrograde nature. Mental overload, right? So just thinking, obsessing, thinking. Again, a really great remedy would be meditation at this time. Questioning teachers or systems or advice that you once trusted, right? You can feel like, oh, I used to believe this ideology. I used to prescribe to this idea. Now it's like, do I still believe that? A lot of questioning of our own belief systems as well, too. So these are some major themes we can see at this time collectively. Okay, so now I'm going to go into every sign and talk about how this is unraveling in your personal chart. Remember, start with the ascendant and then the moon. I always tend to just look at the ascendant transits, to be completely honest. I mean, what's funny about the way that I am is like, people always ask me, they're like, oh my God, you must always know what's going to happen and you can predict so much about your own life and et cetera, et cetera. And I have a really strong Jupiter, so I always just kind of trust that things are working out the way that they're meant to work out. I don't even really check my transits that much. I know you guys are going to think that's a little bit wild because I'm a professional astrologer, but it's almost like, the way I view it is like astrology is my work and it's my passion. But when I'm not doing my work and I'm not doing it for clients or, you know, content creation, I'm just living my best life. Like, I'm just out here having fun with my strong Jupiter. So I actually don't get like overly obsessive with my own transits. It's this funny thing that I think a lot of other astrologers experience as well too, where it is our work, right? It's like what we do for work. So we're telling other people their transits all of the time. We're constantly analyzing the transits for other people. And like on my days off, I'm not sitting there checking all my transits. So anyways, I get asked that a lot. Like, do you always check your transits? I really don't. I check them here and there and I know the general themes, but I'm not so obsessive about it. So that's a little secret because people always ask that. And I think it's really funny. But anyways, that was my Gemini rising, going on a tangent there. So let's go through every rising and moon sign. So starting with Aries, ascendant, or moon, this is activating the third house. So the third house is the house of communication, short travels, courage, willpower, siblings, energy levels, and expression. So this energy, you can be questioning how you speak, how you post, how you assert yourself, especially in realms of like communication or social media or technology. Old conversations or ideas can resurface, right? And this would be a very mentally active energy. So there would be a need to try to calm the mind and double check how you're communicating at this time, right? You can reconnect or have some past theme come back with a sibling if you have siblings. And it's a really good time to be more intentional in how you speak and express yourself with that retrograde energy in the third house. Okay, Taurus, Lagna, ascendant, or moon, this is in the second house. So the Jupiter retrograde asks you to reassess money, self-worth, values, early childhood experiences. So you might revisit some financial plans or realize that you either have to spend more money than expected or feel like you want to save more money. There's going to be this like figuring out the financial abundance and financial security right now, right? Because that retrograde energy is in the second house. You can also be really reevaluating your belief systems around money, like how do I view money? How do I view finances? How do I view self-worth? Themes like that as well too are very activated. So, you know, your financial plans might need updating. There might be a need for you to put some money away. There's also this energy of like past financial issues can come up to be worked on or worked through as well too, right? Like think about the retrograde energy as something from the past, more so connected to a belief system or an ideology around the second house, right? I used to view money in this way. I used to think I had to save this, or I used to think this, and then it's getting reviewed or restructured in some way. Okay, Gemini, Lagna, or moon, this is in our first house. So this is a very like personal transit, right? Because it's our chart ruler. So this is about identity, beliefs, how we come across in the world, self-expression. It's a very like deeply transformational energy, figuring out like how do I come across in the world? Does it feel aligned with who I am now? Do certain things need to shift? It can be a very introspective, reflective time, right? Where it's like, okay, how do I want people to perceive me? How do I want to be seen? How do I want to come across on social media? And there can be some really profound like spiritual insights and some profound change, right? Because Jupiter retrograde in the first house, it's all about the self, right? So it can be like, all right, after this retrograde energy, I want to emerge as this much more like aligned version of myself. So it can be really powerful for deep inner transformation and alignment, right? It can be a really beautiful transit for going deep within to work through or clear some patterns, okay? All right, for Cancer, Lagna, or moon, this is in the 12th house. So this is activating foreign travels, dreams, expenses, spirituality, the past, right? So this can be a really deep shedding of some outdated belief systems, purging the past. This might be a time where you need more sleep or feel like your sleep is a little bit out of whack, right? Because of that retrograde energy, there can be something weird going on with the sleep and the dreams as well too. You can be having dreams about the past. You can be having just this big focus on some sort of like past energy, something that is coming back to be reviewed or worked through as well too. Great time for meditation, solitude, dream work, anything that's connected to that 12th house, right? And I would see this as a very, very spiritual sort of energy because Jupiter retrograde in the 12th house, right? Like that's really, really activating a lot of this subconscious, spiritual, sort of intuitive energy. Okay. Definitely a good time to try to like get a lot more sleep, a lot more rest, and might be feeling more like introspective, isolated in your own energy. Like I remember when Jupiter transited my 12th house, I got back into meditation, which is the 12th house, and then I also needed a lot of time to like introspect and be alone and figure things out and close out some major cycles and chapters, right? That's also Jupiter transiting the 12th house, and then it's retrograde, so it's even more introspective, internal, like that. Okay. Leo Lagna or Moon, this is in the 11th house of community, friendships, and long-term goals and visions. So there might be some disconnection from certain groups or certain past visions, or maybe reconnecting with old friends, reconnecting with old goals and visions, and realigning that. So there's this redefining or restructuring about what you want in your long-term goals and perhaps financial goals and your dreams going forward, right? The 11th house is like big dreams, big goals. And so it's not just like, oh, I want to make $20,000 this year. Like the 11th house is like a really big sort of goal or vision. Like I want to be seen on TV. Like I'm just giving you a random example, right? The 11th house can be these big, big ideals and visions we have. And obviously it's also groups and communities and people that we're connecting with. So can have some past connections come back, can feel like you want to reevaluate past friendships or past connections as well to redefining groups and belief systems and your bigger long-term goals as well too. Things can shift in these realms. Okay, for Virgo Lagna or Moon, this is the 10th house, which is the career house, right? So the career, the reputation, the public image comes under reevaluation, right? Are you still doing the things you want to do in work? Are you being seen in your work life or in the public in the way that you would want? Or does there have to be some shifts that need to go on there, reflecting or reviewing or revising your work life and your public image? Okay. Trying to reimagine or perhaps shift some things in how work is going and wanting more like meaningful success as opposed to just like external validation, right? So there might be some desire to really show up in the world or your career in a way where you're like guiding people or you're mentoring people or you're more of that Jupiter energy, more guru, right? You're more of like a guide or teacher to others at this time as well too. There's like this sense of wanting your career to have more purpose, have more meaning with Jupiter retrograde in the 10th house. Okay, Libra Lagna or Moon, this is in the 9th house. So beliefs, spirituality, education, teachers, teachings, travels come under review. There might be some disillusionment with like old philosophies or old belief systems or old viewpoints, and there might be a sense of wanting to like reimagine what you believe in or shift your beliefs or shift your belief systems to some degree, right? There can be a sense of like, oh, I don't really believe what I used to believe, and it can be very introspective where you're really thinking about it a lot. You're trying to figure it out. What do I believe now? Does that old belief system really does it help me or is it outdated? There can be some sort of shift in like teachers, teachings, travels, and there can also be some past healing with the father or some past experience comes back to be reviewed with the father as well too. Okay, Scorpio, Lagna, or Moon. This is in the 8th house. So this is a deep review of intimacy and trust and shared resources. And it's a very deeply psychological energy with the 8th house, right? So like old fears, old traumas can come back up to be released or worked through. So it'd be a really good time for like therapy or, doing some sort of like energy healing or something that's more like spiritual, metaphysical, psychological, something that just like gets to the root of some past issue. With Jupiter retrograde in the 8th house, it can be something that's been like there for a while, very like deep down, deep rooted, really in the subconscious. And Jupiter retrograde in the 8th house can be a time to like bring that up and actually work through it in some new form, right? So maybe it's like, oh, I've had this thing going on for a while. I want to go to a hypnotherapist, or I want to go to an astrologer, or I want to go to a psychologist and actually like work through it. That would be Jupiter retrograde in the 8th house. So you might be unraveling something from the past around merged finances or intimacy or occult spiritual beliefs. All right, Sagittarius, Lagna, or Moon, this is in your guys' 7th house. So relationships and connections are the theme to get a review. There can be a revisiting of past connections or rethinking and reimagining what commitment and business and partnership truly means. This is about having more wisdom and perhaps more like morality in relationships and shifting some sort of outdated beliefs that exist there, right? So it can be like, oh, I used to believe this. I used to see it in this way. And now I have a new belief system, a upgraded viewpoint on like relationships or business connections. There can be a more higher belief that's coming out right now, right? A more spiritual sort of viewpoint. And also would be a good energy to heal some sort of past relationship issue or business connection or partnership as well too. Okay, Capricorn, Lagna, or Moon, this is in the 6th house. So health, daily routine, work habits are under reflection. You can realize that certain routines or jobs or daily habits are not supportive or serving you at this time. So it's a good time to like simplify and redefine your day-to-day routine and what feels good in your day-to-day routine, right? So because it's Jupiter, maybe you need some more like Jupiterian energy in your work life or your day-to-day routine. Like, oh yeah, I should wake up and like pray, or I should do something that's a little bit more Jupiterian in the daily routine. And this can be a really good transit to figure out what you need to fix health-wise, right? So you can realize you need to like work out more or shift something in your diet, cut some things out. I'm very focused on your daily habits, working out, fitness, and health as well too. Okay, Aquarius, Lagna, or Moon, this is in the 5th house. So this brings about past themes of creativity and romance and joy, children, expression. So there can be some need or desire to reconnect with what like really lights you up creatively. So an old creative project can become important. Old romantic or love interest may resurface to shift something, reevaluate something, or heal something, right? And remember, the 7th house is more like long-term contracts, agreements, commitments. 5th house is more like something that's more fun or lighthearted or casual. So that would be more like, oh, someone you dated and it was like lighthearted or fun or not so serious with the 5th house as well too. But this can be a really good time to like ponder if you want to have children, or ponder if you want to, bring out a creative project from the past, or ponder if you want to reconnect with an old romantic interest and try to heal some things there as well too. Okay, Pisces, Lagna, or Moon for our final sign. This is in the 4th house of home, family, real estate, cars, vehicles. So, old family patterns can come up to be reviewed and healed. There can be themes of, the mother that can come up to be reviewed or revisited, right? It can be like going back to your lineage or going back to some family deep-rooted karmas or deep-rooted experiences to try to heal or review or, revise that to some degree. It can also be thinking about like property or buying a house or moving, you know, very fourth house themes, cars, lands, vehicles, real estate, mother, home, land, family. It's also the house of happiness, so you can be trying to find your own sense of home and happiness at this time as well too, and perhaps like redefining what that means or looks like as well. Okay. All right, so that was the transit through all the houses. So overall, I really think this like Jupiter retrograde and Gemini energy has done a few things. I think it's made us collectively very introspective. We're thinking a lot. We're trying to figure a lot of things out. It's a very like mental sort of energy, but also I think that it's made people realize like what's not serving them in the realm of like belief systems and viewpoints and teachers and teachings, right? Again, I said this earlier, but I mean, I had such like a Jupiter retrograde and Gemini moment where I was asking someone for advice and like love this friend to death. But even as she was like saying the advice, I was like, I'm still going to do what I want to do. You know what I mean? So it's like very like we're following our own internal compass right now, and there can actually be some very clear revelations about like what we need to do outside of what someone else is telling us, outside of what a book is telling us, outside of what this person's telling us, this person. It's like our own internal guidance becomes really powerful and really important right now until March 11th. It's always important, of course, it's always going to be important, but because Jupiter's retrograde, it's more of a theme right now to trust that like internal compass. Okay. And if you do have natal Jupiter retrograde, this can actually be a really beautiful window for you, because when you have a natal retrograde planet and then it goes retrograde, you actually have the opposite effect where it feels like it's blessing you in some way, right? So if you have a natal Jupiter retrograde, it can feel like, oh, things actually feel really good. You can feel some deep relief or deep healing at this time as well too. All right. So let me know how you guys have been experiencing this transit down below. I definitely feel it very strongly. Like I've just been so introspective and reflective and like healing things from the past, and like I want to get back into my meditation, and it's just been very, very Jupiter retrograde. Absolutely. All right, so don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe for more content coming soon. And guys, we are so close to 1K, which is really exciting, because to me, that's like a big sort of milestone, which I know it might not be to a lot of other people, but like I genuinely just do YouTube because I love it, and because it's almost like, to me, it's a lot of my like service with Vedic astrology is doing free content so people can learn concepts of Vedic astrology. Is a big like service aspect for me. You guys know I don't do this content to make a bunch of money and advertise a bunch of things. Like I just do it for the service of helping people learn new things about Vedic astrology, trying to expose it into the Western world where there's a lot of Western astrology. So just getting to that milestone is like really exciting, really fun. So don't forget to subscribe as well too. All right, and comment down below your thoughts and your experiences of the Jupiter retrograde, and we will talk soon. Bye, guys.